Hey.
Hey, welcome. We are going to be talking today about what is the best way to be considering launching a course in the year of 2024. A lot has changed over the years, and we have found what is the best strategy for people to be using right now to not only be able to put their expertise into a product and launch it out into the world and share it with people, but also to build a lasting, ongoing, continuous, throw that word out there for a minute, a business plan along with this launch. So we're going to talk today about if we were launching a brand new informational product like a course, how would we do that? And we help our clients with this every day. We help people that are in our own programs launch these every day. And so we thought we would come here and do a quick overview of what our idea of what that looks like is to start. So
Yes, and we very much follow a funnel philosophy. And so what we're going to talk about might be a little counter to what you hear out there in terms of build a course and how to build a course and how to launch it, right? We think there's a little bit of a different approach if you're actually playing the long game and you're not just trying to build a course and make a buck, right? And so that's what we're going to dive into today. So super exciting.
Hey.
Yeah, go ahead, Susan.
Oh, I was just going to start introducing it. So we have a framework that we use within our agency, within our community. And it has really held true to being the framework for us to help people in launching their programs. So we're going to just touch on the first, we're going to go into depth on a little bit on one of them, but I think, Andrea, do you want to go ahead and share what that framework is?
Yeah. And I'll go ahead and see if I can make this into present mode so it's nice and big on the screen. All right, there we go. Can you see it okay?
I think it is still trying to catch up. There we go. Yes.
Awesome. Cool. So this is our kind of big monster framework. Now, at least the problem that we're trying to solve, right, is that we work with deep experts and they usually are having a background, either both education, experience, or both, where they've understood something pretty deeply and applied it in a lot of different situations, right? And they're usually in the ClickFunnels world. They're trying to figure out, how do I actually monetize the thing I know using funnels? And a lot of times what most people will say is build a course, right? Because that's logical. You have something to teach, you have something to know, you should teach it, go make money off of it. And this is where Susan and I have really turned a corner in the past 2 years, where we used to help people do just that. We would make amazing course experiences that would get 60% engagement rate and would ascend upwards of 95% of people would ascend into the next offer. But the problem, again, with those models is that it's a quick cash flow injection, but then you're constantly having to just sell that one-off course, and you put all this energy into them coming through your program and they fall out the other end. You know what I mean? Where to take them? And what we found is that working with a lot of experts, your expertise is usually not limited to that one course, that there's usually 1,000,001 undertones of what you're teaching them that are really ripe for keeping them in your world and continuing to help them learn the thing that they came there to learn from you in the first place. Would you agree with that, Susan? Would you add anything there?
Yeah, no, that's 100% true. And we've seen it a lot over the years, even from some of our own mentors who they had this brilliant course that they put out, but then there was nothing left. And so there was nothing to come after that they had ready because they were just still pouring everything into that one program. But they weren't the only way they were getting paid month to month, week to week, was by finding new people to buy that program. It's they were no longer, while they were still serving their heart out into the people that have bought their program, those people were no longer paying any more money to them. So it very quickly, as I started helping my own clients launch things like this, it very quickly became apparent to me of like, this isn't very sustainable, because you're always chasing the next customer. You're always
Mhm.
having to grow and expand your audience with that model. So
Mhm.
while it is a great way to, like you said, get that like some cash injection going into your business, there's got to be more. And so we have been using this new strategy, and it has been working really well to help people have what was missing before.
I think there's also been a little bit of a relief. I mean, in 2019 at Funnel Hacking Live, Russell announced the linchpin model and he started introducing it into the world. And in there, a critical part of the linchpin model is thinking about continuity instead of just one-off transactions. And I think it's been, at first we resisted it because typically continuity is a little lower dollar point, right? And it requires that you can't just think about one product at a time, but now you have to be thinking about a continuity experience. So we've been in that problem space now for 2 years, trying to address just that for ourselves, for our clients, and for the people that we teach. And so today we're going to dive into that and give you a little taste of what we've figured out so far. All right. So first comes first is we have a geek out framework where we take your expertise, we embrace what does it mean to actually be a deep expert. We do an extract and clarify where we crawl inside your head and your heart. And we have ChatGPT prompts that allow us to excavate that genius of what you're actually trying to say. We have our own version of the linchpin. And then we take you through a process called journey crafting to actually create the continuity experience, and we launch and we learn. Now, obviously, there is a mountain of information under each one of these that we go through, a lot of it in our challenge that we do every quarter. But today we thought there's one aspect of this that's really been taking off and it just resonates with people, that we thought, hey, why don't we share that with the world? Because it seems to really help a lot of people when they start to play this game of, I'm an expert and how do I actually create a continuity experience which would yield in reoccurring revenue. Susan, anything on that I forgot that you want to add there?
No, not at all. But while you're finding your next slide, I will just say, so we're going to focus in on like when people typically think about launching something or creating a new program and putting it out there, there's like, it seems like there's kind of two main schools of thought of, well, do I sell it first or do I build it first? And we've kind of subscribed to the idea of like, you do both at the same time. You do both at the same time. And so what that means is that you don't want to go build this, fully out your entire program and create all the content, record all the videos, and create all the assets and make it super polished before you go sell it, because you don't even know if people are going to buy it yet. But on the other hand, you don't want to go and sell something that you've put no thought and no planning into. You just know, like, I'm going to sell something. I'm going to like sell this program that's going to help them do this. And like, that's all you figured out. You don't even know like what that even looks like yet. And so those are the two polar opposites. And so we've landed in the middle, maybe a little bit skewed more towards one side of it, which we're going to present the idea today of like, you can use the experience of selling and launching at the same time. And when I say launch, I don't mean like full launch, like all in, we're running ads, we're doing huge promo. I mean, like, you are putting it in front of people, even if it's just like a handful of people, right? And so you can do this at the same time, which creates this really amazing experience for you as the creator to get amazing feedback from your people. So Andrea is going to kind of present that idea, which we have found to be really, really awesome at helping to give you a really good foundation of creating a really awesome program, because you are, in my opinion, doing it the right way instead of just like, I think they want this, let's give it to them. Oh, that's actually not what they wanted. Or, the opposite. So I will let Andrea kind of present this thing that actually you came up with, which I was like, yes, as soon as you presented it to me, I'm like, this is it. Like, yes, this makes so much sense. So
Well, you expanded it to a whole other level, the full linchpin and not just the continuity. So yeah, a team effort for sure.
yes.
Um, Okay, so this is the linchpin. We're not going to dive into that today. We have a lot of other YouTube videos about it. We have a special little twist on the linchpin that focuses a lot on the nurture space. Today, what we're going to focus on is one of the frameworks inside of our journey crafting experience when you craft great experiences. And very specifically, it is identifying the continuity maturity. So let me tell you a little bit about what this is. So when you think about your continuity program, meaning I have a course and I'm saying, you know what, Susan, Andrea, you're right. I'm not interested in a one-time transaction. I'm interested in a longer play. I'm interested in recurring revenue. How do I actually create a continuity program and not just a course? This is what we're talking about, that you are who we are talking to. So when you think about your continuity program, there's a lot of stuff that you actually have to put in place, especially if you are a deep expert and you actually care about your people doing the thing. A lot of times, and this is a really common video that you might be very familiar with, Indiana Jones, he's making the final leap of faith where he learned all this stuff from his dad, but now he's on his own and he actually has to forge his own way, have his own faith in what he understands and what he knows, and then go forward. That's essentially what we're trying to do when we're deep experts, right? I have a way that I understand the world. It's based on what I have learned, but it's also based on my experience of the world. And in order for me to actually take hold of learning something from someone else, I have to take what they're telling me, apply it in my own world, and then actually go and do it and make it mine. That's the game of transformation. There's actually a really great one of our geeks actually in our community, Eric Cacciatore is the name. He brought to my attention. So back in the day, I used to study user experience, and there's these two guys, Pine and Gilmore, who came out with this concept of the experience economy. And in that, they said, hey, no longer is getting to the bottom or having a price point really important. What's really important is that you actually focus on the experience that you're delivering to your people. Now, we're moving into what they call the experience economy. Now, this has been the experience economy for probably the past 10 years. It's been the decade of the experience economy, where experience is the differentiator. We saw this with Airbnb. They made their plus experience concept. We see this in the increased attention to user experience, so the way that software looks and feels and behaves. Well, so those same guys that made the prediction of the experience economy, which came true, are now predicting that we're moving out of the experience economy and we're moving into the transformation economy. And so, in this space where you are wanting to operate, where you're a deep expert and you're wanting to create continuity in your business and in your life, if you play the game of transformation, it will be in your favor for the trend of what people are expecting. I think gone are the days where people will just pay for information and they'll just expect like a totally DIY hands-off experience. I think more and more we're seeing, no, people want to be held accountable. They want you to be a little bit more in the trenches with them, or they want a little bit more support and assistance. And these are all telltale signs of they're interested in actually doing the thing and not just paying money to consume the thing. Right. And so we're in this transformation economy. So you're a deep expert, you're playing the game of transformation. Okay, if this is true and you're with me so far, let's actually break down what this means. Okay, because it can be kind of scary. So if you actually think about it, in order for you to do that, you're a deep expert, you want to launch some kind of transformational experience that gets you reoccurring revenue. That means you have to make what you know bite-sized through frameworks. You have to set and align your intentions and determine your guide style. You have to design a learning experience and design the transformation space itself, the digital space. You have to build that space and build the experience. You have to create all the materials that you might send to the people. You have to actually understand the tech setup and do all the integration and the tech work, plus all the emails, plus all the funnels, plus the actual like place where you put all the content. And you have to learn how to market and sell it. Holy crud. If you are not overwhelmed right now, then you are a unique unicorn. So when we started looking at this and we're like, okay, if I were to look at all of these things, and I'm sure that the list goes on and on and on, right? But if we were to look at all of these things and say, okay, how do we start to approach this? In the geek out world, we approach it as, okay, really what this boils down to is I got to understand my frameworks. I have to figure out like what are my spaces, my digital spaces, my personal spaces that I'm going to create and for people to come to. And I have to understand the humans that I am serving. Those are the essence. Those are the three most important categories that all of this boils down to. So when we started to put it in this perspective, we started to say, okay, so I'm going to take something from my old product development, software development days, and it's a really common thing. And it was this concept of alpha, beta, version 1, and full production launches. Now, let me break this down a little bit what this means. So most of the time, when people are building great software products or they're thinking about building their courses and continuity programs, they're thinking about this little convertible over here, number 4, right? And the reason they're thinking about that is because they see all the big wigs, the Russell Brunsons of the world, you can just like into, they have everything figured out.
Sorry, Andrea, I think you froze for a sec.
Oh shoot, can you hear me now?
Okay. Yeah. You were saying the Russell Brunsons of the world.
Yeah, the Russell Brunsons, the Jenna Kutchers, the Marie Folios, like they have amazing programs. Amy Porterfield, right? They have amazing programs and it's all like polished and pre-recorded and amazing. And so we come into these spaces and we think, oh, we have to deliver the convertible like they have, right? And it sets us up for failure. We don't have the list they have. We don't have the traffic they have. We're not necessarily running a massive amount of ads. We don't have the resources in terms of our staff and the people that can help us get across those finish lines. And we don't have the fulfillment support of those people, right? And so you're setting yourself up for failure if you're trying to launch like them on day one, going for the convertible. Instead, what we recommend to all of the people that we work with, clients and geeks accordingly, is that when you're first launching your idea of what you want this course, aka continuity experience, to be, we recommend that you think about it more like the bottom, where I'm going to release something that is a really great experience and it's not going to be full out. It's not going to be everything, but it's going to give me enough to give me feedback to keep growing. And it's going to give the people I serve enough to help them have a pretty good experience. So you can see this little happy dude over here on the skateboard. And then the next iteration is I might put some handlebars on it. They can go even faster. And then I'm going to make it a bike. And then I'm going to make it a motorcycle. Yes. And then I'm going to actually get the convertible. So if we apply this same concept to us building our continuity experience, we are following this path and we're getting really great results of when you first launch an alpha continuity program where you're not trying to launch everything at once. You're just launching the critical things. And we'll talk about what those are. Then go into beta once you've proven your alpha, then go to version 1, then full production. Okay, let me break this down just one more level and then we'll open it up for conversation with Susan and I. So when we look at our alpha, and we look at it through those 3 critical areas, your frameworks, your spaces, and your humans. During an alpha continuity, your frameworks are critical and the identity that you're giving your people as they relate to that framework is super important. So today in the YouTube, we open it up with the Geek Out framework. And we talked about that geeks, our identity. This is how a geek would use our framework. And so when we first started and we first launched our alpha continuity, it was $47 a month. It was super low tech, which is the spaces. We just knew that we could show up every week to help people with their ClickFunnels strategy and technology. So we opened up hot seats once a week. We had a Facebook group where people could ask questions and they could come and they could get in the hot seat once a week. So the tech, we didn't have a membership area and we're membership building experts, right? But when we launched our alpha continuity, we knew that that wasn't where we wanted to put our intention. We had to just go low tech so we could focus on our frameworks. And the last piece of the equation, we could focus on direct contact with our humans. So our tech was literally coming into a Zoom call for 1 hour a week and people got their questions answered. And then we would be in the Facebook group answering questions of those people during the off times, right? And we were doing once a week, we would do a masterclass inside of the Facebook group. And during those masterclasses, we were testing out our frameworks. We were trying to understand how to articulate our frameworks. And that was our alpha continuity launch. It was framework focused, super low tech on the spaces, direct contact with humans. And that is what fueled us to be able to know, oh, that framework doesn't work. Or, oh, we got to modify the way we talk about that framework. Or, oh, we can't, like, we're putting the chicken before the cart. We got to modify here. And that's how that was able to do that. So when you think about your very first, you have this wonderful idea for a course. I highly encourage you, and Susan and I would actually just deploy you. I think that's what the word I'm right. Deploy you. Yeah. Don't think about this space, which is where most people go. And don't think about, like, I just got to get an outline and then I got to go do my videos, because that actually will not get you into a continuity relationship with the humans you're going to serve. And it won't set you up for long-term success. It just sets you up for a one-time transaction that then you're just going to be in the cycle of, like, trying to get me more people in and losing them on the tail end. So that's the alpha continuity. Susan, I'd love to just, like, let's open it up for conversation. I know you and I have talked a lot about this. What would you add? What did I miss?
Yeah, there's one thing that I thought of that we have seen a few times recently, and that is, so on top of everything that you said, the other issue that we see or problem that people are running into is they go that route of, like, okay, I got a cool name for my program. I've got, like, it all outlined or mapped out. But what they did was they went super micro and detailed, and they have, like, okay, here's all the things I'm going to teach. But what they forgot to do was create, like, what we have of the Geek Out framework, what we're calling an umbrella framework. And so it's the, like, how would you explain to somebody what they're going to experience inside of your program in 20 seconds, right? Without having to pull up this diagram and say, well, in module 1, you're going to do this. And in module 2, we're going to do this. And in module 3, we're going to do this. And, like, here's all the things that you're doing. Like, that's a lot. And that might be what your program is. But to simplify it, we've also found that people need an umbrella framework where it's, like, I would say no more than 5 steps, but maybe there's some exceptions to that rule. Where it is, like, if someone could repeat it. So if you watch the beginning of this episode again, you look at our Geek Out framework, it is 5 steps. And you could, if you looked at it long enough, you could memorize it pretty quickly, and you would know, like, oh, the geeks, this is their framework. They help them do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, these 5 steps. And so if you don't have something like that, that is, like, step 1 when you are creating your alpha continuity. And it is going to make such a massive difference. So if you are also following that common advice of, like, just create the bullet points, the outline of your course, and go sell it, we are finding that you are skipping another critical step in creating that umbrella framework.
Yeah. Yep. So true.
To that part.
Yeah. So true. So true. Yeah. And I think it's a relief too. I mean, I think we put far too much pressure on ourselves when we're just trying to launch, because we try to use our traditional ways of teaching, right? Where it's like, I have to have everything figured out, and then I info vomit, and then good luck if you can figure it out. Right. And instead it is far more valuable just to be in direct contact with your humans and get your frameworks, because the frameworks last far longer than any outline or specific topic that you are going to teach on. If anything, I think that having the frameworks in place open up new ideas of how I can talk about the thing that I actually solve or the problem space that I work in, versus if I was just kind of toiling down in, like, the details of a particular lesson. And it gives, much more room for creation. Yeah.
It's like the difference between the strategy and the tactics. The tactics are the details, and they can change at any moment, especially if you see, like, oh, that thing worked for that person, but it's not working for this person. I got to come up with another way to help this other type of person. Like, that's ever changing. But but your framework, if you've got it figured out, that is never going to change. We did start out early on with a particular framework, and it was close. It wasn't quite right. And so we did modify it to what we have now. But having that, it was still a, like, 5-step framework. And having that and moving forward with it, we quickly realized, like, okay, this needs some adjustment. And we weren't bogged down by all the details and all of the tactics, because we had the overview, the umbrella framework. So it was fast for us to figure out that it wasn't quite right. This is so good. Okay. Okay, if you want more content like this, if you want to learn more about the Geek Out framework, like Andrea mentioned earlier, we do go into depth for that framework in our Share Your Genius with Continuity challenge that we do once a quarter. We don't have it open right now, but if you're watching this, when we have it open, you can go to Share Your Genius with, is it just Share Your Genius? Oh, geekoutconnect.com/share your genius. Yep. And you can sign up for that challenge. But also what you can do anytime is come join us in our Facebook community, which is geekoutcommunity.com. There is a link in the description down below that you can click. And so you can hang out with us here on YouTube, watch more of our videos, but also we really like to spend time in our Facebook community, and there's a lot of good stuff over there as well. And a whole lot of people that want to join.
A whole lot of people that are just willing to like help and connect, and it's awesome. It's a good time.
Yes. Okay, that's it for us today. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.